Hi, I'm Levi, and I am building a crystal portal. This is the Crystal Portal Podcast, where we talk about crystals, moldavite, spirit guides, sacred geometry, intuition, quantum energy, and all things metaphysical. Find something special for your spiritual journey. Shop online at moldavitejewelry.com to support my work. Welcome to episode 4 of the podcast. So if you've been following along, you've noticed that there's been a different gong behind me each episode. And you're wondering, what does that have to do with creating a crystal portal? Well, my guides suggested that I get a gong. And when I first heard that, it didn't quite make a lot of sense, but I followed that intuitive hit, that intuitive guidance. And so I started learning more about frequency, more about gongs, more about sound healing. And the more I learned, the more I became fascinated. And it actually evolved into something that was really great, which I'm going to get into today's episode. Very early on, they suggested to get a gong, which led to creating instruments with crystals in them. So for today's episode, I'm going to introduce you to each of these gongs. Each one seems to have its own personality. And part of that, I believe, is due to the mineral energies that have been added or infused into each of the gongs. Now, if you look closely at each of them, I've added crystals, tektites, and meteorites to the gongs themselves. So for this one right here, call this one Inner Vision. This one has lapis lazuli. Lapis lazuli was really revered by the Egyptians. It's a really good third eye stone, also blue, being associated with the throat chakra. Herkimer diamond. Herkimer diamond, excellent for those that work with energy, healers. So the Herkimer diamond is a natural form of quartz that is double terminated. So it means it's got a point on each side. And the Herkimers are interesting because it's thought to both send and receive energy. One called benitoite. Benitoite creates a safe connection when you're communicating with ETs. There's also pedalite, which is the stone of the angels, and a pink mineral called piezoitite. So piezoitite is an interesting one because it's got this almost like a vortex energy to it. We've also got Tatahouine meteorite. You know, I'm a fan of Tatahouine meteorite, and I've got it in each of these gongs. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started with this one. This one we call Inner Vision because it's a very third eye focused gong. Pretty sweet, huh? It's definitely got like this really cool sitar vibe to it. It can be super relaxing. So we got another mallet here. And another. I'm curious, anyone listening, if you're noticing anything different? I'm referring to the energy, not necessarily the sound. Although it's got a really sweet sound. Gong number 1. All right, so we're going to go and move on to our next gong. This is the Cosmic Om. A lot of people described it kind of like floating in space. Ready to hear it? Get the vibe yet? Alright, so if you noticed, I'm using two different types of mallets. So in the world of playing gongs, you've got two basic types of mallets. You've got their traditional striking mallet and a friction mallet. You get two completely different sounds. Depending on the size mallet and the way you use it, you can get this whole range, almost a symphony out of a gong. So this is a 38-inch gong. And the larger the gong, the more of a range of sounds and tones from deep low tone to high pitch you'll get. So this is a great example to be working with both of these types of mallets. So the friction mallet, you basically will drag it across the surface, and depending on the amount of pressure and the speed, you'll get your kind of organic sounds. And the sound moves across the gong in an organic fashion because you get it started, you've got the sound, but then once you introduce another strike or another modification to it, it morphs. It's like throwing a pebble into a pond. The ripples affect the other ripples. It's a very organic experience. And of course, the striking mallets, you'll get different sound. So early on, I realized these mallets were a little bit expensive. So we actually made this one right here. This is a upcycled gong mallet. So this is actually made from a recycled magnesium supplement bottle, a velvet pillow, a little bit of yarn, a little bit of padding, and of course a dowel rod here. So this is a mallet again that we made here because typically the larger the mallet, the more expensive it is. And so when you're working with a gong, it's good to try out different types of mallets to see where the magic is. And so this gong, I'll show you some more. This gong has some really sweet spots, pun intended. There's the deep space vibe. My playing style is a bit of a mix. Players will often lean a little bit on striking mallet or friction mallet, but I like to incorporate both because you get, again, just this wider variety of tones. The Cosmic Om here has benitoite from San Benito, California. It's a very rare mineral, interesting story behind it, but it establishes a strong, safe connection for those that wish to connect and communicate with ETs. It's one I use a lot. Moldavite, of course. We've got faceted moldavite near each of the dragons. And they also have faceted ruby eyes. You have to look really close to see these. Muonionalusta meteorite. Muonionalusta is a nickel iron meteorite from Sweden, and it has like this fifth dimensional energy. It's very interesting because if you look at a polished piece, you can see like this structure, and that's a fascinating part about Muonionalusta because it has a crystalline nickel iron crystal. Pedalite, it's known as the stone of the angels. Phenakite crystal, it's really good for the third eye crown. It's clearing for the aura. Gold, tiny gold flakes, very connective energy and solar focused. Think of the sun. Tatahouine meteorite. So Tatahouine acts almost like a connective energy in a circuit. These are Grota Sonora gongs. They're made in Italy, and each one is unique. No two the same. It's like a functional piece of art. And I believe that they're tuned in because a lot of the things they're doing is very innovative, very unique. The Grota Sonora gongs are made of a combination of nickel, iron, and silver. It's what they've termed sacred metals. And about the sound frequency, it's got a fundamental note of a C2 at right around 63 hertz. So, sound healers, there you go. Let's move on to a crowd favorite. Gong number 3 is Enter the Dragon. This is definitely a crowd favorite. So, the energies in this one, I've got a lot of Libyan Desert Glass, the yellow tektite here, found in the deserts of Libya. It's a very solar-plexus focused, fiery energy. And in between them, we've got a good amount of black tourmaline. So black tourmaline is a very grounding energy, but also transmutes. So it turns negative to positive. It's an excellent mineral to work with. And in between, you see the very small ones, they are pieces of sulfur quartz. So sulfur quartz removes energetic parasites. It's also, side note, if you feel like there's some negative ET interactions going on, it's an excellent protective energy for that also. So on top of the sulfur quartz, we've got tiny fragments of the Tatahouine meteorite. Again, it's a very connective energy. And if you look up here at the top, Bezaniza moldavite, pronounced like pizza, Bezaniza. So the Bezaniza moldavite is said to be much more direct compared to quote-unquote normal moldavite. And it's interesting because they're very spiky. They're nicknamed hedgehogs. So if you think about the surface and how it's very spiky, very direct, it's an excellent kind of choice to add in with the rest of the minerals here. And we've also got some very tiny faceted ruby. Phenocite, the last mineral, again, it's very clearing, excellent for clearing the aura. So combined, this is a very fiery clearing energy. So before adding the minerals to these gongs, just like the crystal portal, I like to meditate, connect with my guides, and learn about how the synergy of the mineral energies are working together. And this one was a very interesting experience. So when I was asking about how the energies were working together, the visual that I got was that the Libyan Desert Glass and the moldavite fused together, almost like combining paint. And then the smoke, the visual I saw was that I was this corkscrew of smoke traveling back through the room. And it was almost like, it was not disorienting, but it was just interesting because that was the visual. My viewpoint was going backwards throughout the room with it. And so the moldavite and the Libyan fuse together and etherically ignite the sulfur quartz, which then blows energetic parasites off of people. The black tourmaline grounds it and transmutes. So collectively, this is an excellent clearing gong. Sound permeates every cell in the body. So are you ready to hear it? Now go ahead and get comfortable with this one. I'm going to take you on a little bit of a ride, a very clearing and a meditative experience. Mallets. This one here, different size, different sound. Again, different size mallets, different sounds. Listen for the subtleties. All right, so that was the meditative side. It can also roar like a dragon. I'm hoping the microphone can pick this up. Larger friction mallet. You've seen the different ones I've used. This one, you can get some really nice low tones. Resituate for this one. Almost got the heartbeat of a dragon. And that's the dragon. Next up on the Gong show, the Crystal Portal podcast, we've got the Third Eye of Horus Gong. So this one is a particularly activating gong. So if you look close, you can check it out here or on the website, moldavitejewelry.com. It has 33 phenakite crystals. Count them, 33. 66 benitoite crystals. 9 azurite. So if you're counting a lot of third eye stones so far, fulgurite, fossilized lightning, it's very electrifying manifestation energy. Anchorite. Anchorite is another third eye. It's a very high vibe energy to work with. So if you notice, I work with a lot of very obscure, sometimes hard to find minerals. And for me, I'm just naturally drawn toward the kind of outliers, the energies that some people aren't really paying attention to, but there's some really interesting energies to work with. So again, one of those is a tektite in here called betazite tektite from Texas. It's very obscure, and it's just got a very unique energy, kind of a multi-dimensional nature to it. So speaking of which, again, if you notice with a lot of these gongs, the energies that I'm talking about, this is quantum. So quantum energy. And the reason I say that is because I will often demonstrate these for people that come in. And what we found is that those that are energy sensitive usually get a greater level of experience than the average person. And it's something that we can't quite explain how, but it's a thing. I'm really curious. So those of you that are listening, type in the comments if you're picking up anything that's different. So I'm going to play this one here in just a second. So part of the story of the crystal portal, when I got into playing these gongs, I was researching the various gongs, trying to figure out where do I go to actually hear them, because if you get into it, you also learn that some of them can be quite expensive. And so if you're going to drop a lot of money, it's nice to actually hear it in person versus online. So long story short, I ended up ordering online. I was trying to find a place and there was nothing in the area, so I started a gong shop, Asheville Gong Shop, inside Moldavite Life Crystal Shop. So if you are in the area and you are looking to get started, you can actually come out here and check out some of the gongs. We've got regular gongs, quote unquote, and ones that are upgraded with the quantum energy. So this one here, again, the third Eye of Horus, it's very activating. So let's go ahead and play for you. One of the most interesting things about this one is it has a sound that morphs and comes back with a delay. Listen. You hear it? And that's the fun part, is if you play a gong, you'll know, but you get to explore the different sounds with these mallets. The friction mallets I find them just really fascinating, all the different depths you can get to. So here's the handpan side of it, kind of the Now let's explore kind of the drum and bass aspect. Now I say that because its sound is where it can flip on the drop of a dime, like a check this out. Definitely a lot of energy coming from this gong. And in this corner, we've got the Earth Star Rising Gong. So we call it that because it seems to activate the Earth Star chakra below the feet, and then all the subsequent chakras all the way up. And it's interesting because, well, two things. One, it's got a very deep low tone, and also a high-pitched angelic area you can get to with some of the gong mallets. And the other thing is, my guides have said transmissions come through this one and integrate with the light body. So I'll facilitate gong meditations here. We do a star seed sound bath, also a celestial sound bath, because we've got, of course, pieces of moon, Mars, and other meteorites that are out of this world in the gongs and the sound bowls. the visual that I got was that the sound or frequency was coming through the gong, and the frequencies integrated with the light body, meaning the non-physical, the energy body. So it was a really interesting insights for the Earth star rising. So if you notice a pattern with these gongs, I typically try to work with sets of minerals that are in 3, 6, or 9 groupings. Nikola Tesla, anyone? In sacred geometry. So if you look closely at this one, you'll see 2 groupings of 3. Here, here, and the other side, we've got Anandalite, Divine Bliss, NWA 869 Meteorite, Bezaniza Moldavite, Phenakite, Pizzoatite, I know it's a lot of ites, Herkimer Diamond, sends and receives, and Benitoite. And we've got more of some of the same minerals on these other 3, primarily Anandalite and Pedalite. So the Tatahouine meteorite connects the energy of this gong, but also connects to other gongs. Interesting side note. So a visual that my guide showed was that each of these gongs, when they sell, they are more or less creating a 3-dimensional crystal grid around the planet. So wherever one gong goes, if it's got the Tatahouine, it's connected with the rest of them. Interesting stuff, interesting visuals. You ready to hear it? So that's kind of the angelic portion of it. Let's use a couple other mallets. All right, so this one, you can get to areas that sound, again, a little bit like a sitar. Can be super tranquil, very serene. It's like I'll tell you what, anyone in the comments, go ahead and post a comment if you were feeling anything different. If you got anything quantum from this, I'd be curious to know. Because, yes, we played it in person, but I haven't actually put much of any of this out on the website or online. So if you feel like you may have gotten something from this micro sound bath, post something in the comments. I'd like to hear some feedback. Speaking of Herkimer Diamond Quartz, in some of the gongs and also in the crystal portal, I took a deep dive down the rabbit hole and I was learning about supposed portals at various places around Earth, these doorways that seem to be carved into mountains. They were made out of a lot of quartz and minerals within quartz, like sandstone. So that led to the next day, I came into the shop. I was talking to an employee at the time. I said, you know what? I think we're going to need a lot of quartz. An hour later, you wouldn't believe what happened. Follow and subscribe to find out what happens next.